The last LEGO set of a real-world motorcycle in a 1:8 scale can be traced back to the 42107 Ducati released in 2020, and for the 42170 Kawasaki Ninja H2R released by LEGO in 2024, that is last year. Can it bring some new design directions to motorcycle products in this scale? The newly added printed windscreen, rebound of the front and rear shock absorbers, the steering of the handlebars, 3-speed gearbox, the newly designed inline 4-cylinder engine, the linkage of the rear wheel, and there is a retractable side stand. Then in this video, let's take a look at the specific performance of this LEGO set. Let's first take a look at the color box. It's relatively simple. The age positioning is for those above 10 years old. In the upper right corner and the lower left corner are the logos of Kawasaki and the Ninja H2R respectively. The backside also maintains the consistent style. It also includes the picture of the finished product from another angle and the size of the finished product. Also included are the diagrams of the 3 functional gameplay of gear shifting, suspension and steering, as well as the key data of the prototype vehicle. After opening the color box, there are altogether 4 sub-packages for large steps of assembly inside. There is also 1 assembly manual and 1 small sticker sheet. The assembly manual includes a total of 205 steps, with an average of 31 parts per step. It's a pity that, as an officially licensed set, the assembly manual doesn't contain any introduction to the prototype vehicle at the beginning. It just makes a comparison between the prototype and the finished brick model with 2 pictures at the end of the manual. In terms of new parts, a crank part numbered 4368 was released along with this set, and the supporting piston part numbered 4369. The reusability of this set of parts is excellent, and they can be well applied to the construction of some engines that are relatively compact in size. We can see the application of this set of parts in as many as 6 new LEGO sets that follow. In addition, we can also see a motorcycle windscreen part numbered 5401. If the printed pattern is not taken into account, this part is not necessarily an exclusive one. And although the 11-unit shock absorber part numbered 65151 is not a new part, the light gray version is making its debut. The Technic panel parts numbered 2438 and 2442 in the set are also printed parts. Let's take a look at the design inside. We can see that the engine crank is connected to the gearbox through 3 16-tooth gears. The gearbox is equipped with 2 gear sets, one with a ratio of 20/12, one with a ratio of 16/16. After making a selection through the shifting device, the final power reaches this 16-tooth gear. After that, it will be connected to the rear wheel via a chain. And inside the gearbox, we can also see the limiting structure created by the designer using this blue 2-unit beam. Next, here we can see the stepping device that rotates 90 degrees each time. The designer has rarely adopted an assembly method here, in which the part numbered 71708 is abutted against a 4-tooth gear. And the source of the elasticity comes from the 2-unit rubber part numbered for 5590 here. We can use a motor module with gears to test the linkage between the gearbox and the engine, including the differences in the linkage speeds under 3 modes: high gear, neutral gear, and low gear. The test shows that the linkage is very smooth. Let's go to the next step. Here we can see that the designer has arranged a gear set in this motorcycle that seems to have no practical linkage purpose, so does any audience know what it is for? Next, we can see that the most core frame structure of this motorcycle has already been assembled. We can see that the designer has used a relatively large number of beam parts, especially the bent beam parts. It has assembled a very sturdy main frame structure for the motorcycle. We can see that the rear wheel fender is movable, but its downward movement angle is restricted. It's a very detailed design. Well, it took about 5 or 6 hours, and this Kawasaki Ninja has now been completed. In terms of appearance, the entire motorcycle is 31 centimeters long, with a scale of 1:8. Compared with the large-scale motorcycle with a scale of 1:5, the 1:8 scale definitely makes the appearance restoration relatively more abstract. but we can see the overall curve that extends from the front windshield to the fuel tank and all the way to the end of the seat. The angle of the front fork and the angle of the rear swing arm. It has basically achieved an accurate construction compared to the prototype vehicle. The main color tones of the entire motorcycle are black and gray. At the same time, this green tubular frame that extends all the way from below the fuel tank to the bottom of the vehicle is also a relatively distinctive design element of the prototype vehicle. In terms of functions, the rebound of the front fork and the rear swing arm. After the tests, there are no problems with either of them. Then there is the steering of the front handlebars. In addition, there is a side stand, and it is quite stable when the motorcycle is supported and displayed. But the designer hasn't designed a paddock stand similar to that of the 42107 Ducati set for this motorcycle. At the finished product stage, whether it's pushing the motorcycle or rotating the rear wheel, we can also see the linkage condition of the inline four-cylinder engine inside through the gaps. The gear shifting operation can also be carried out through the crank on the left side. And if we install a motor on the rear wheel, we can experience this super smooth linkage performance. When we shifting gears, there is no problem with shifting down. But when we shifting up, it occasionally gets stuck. So in terms of reliability, this brand new gear shifting stepping device is at least not in a very mature and perfect state. Okay, so that's all for this review. See you next time.